topic for the moment is View from Top, Future of Television Business. To conduct the same, may I please call upon stage Ruhail Amin, Senior Editor, BW Business World and Exchange for Media Group. He'll be joined by some special names. May I please call upon stage Kailash Nath Adhikari, Business Head Promoter, Sri Adhikari Brothers Group. Rana Barua, Group CEO, Havas Group India. And we'll also have Lloyd Matthias, Business Strategist and Independent Director, who is joining us virtually, especially for this session. Thank you so much. The stage is all yours. Let's look forward to a fascinating one.
All right. Thank you. This was meant to be my boss's session, but he's on a voice rest thanks to the Delhi pollution, and he couldn't make it here. But this conversation is so important and an everyday conversation for journalists like us and veterans like you. We also have Lloyd here. Hi, Lloyd, virtually there. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
You know, future of TV business, much has been spoken about it. And just before this session, there was a keynote by Mr. Mehta, where he said that the future of television business is the future of India, which is a very profound statement. So, of course, nobody can deny the fact that when brands look for impact, they come to TV. We have seen the rise of digital, we have seen OTT, we have seen all other mediums, but TV remains the centerpiece of all the conversations. Just a small fact that 15,000 brands advertised on TV in 2021 shows that, you know, what kind of impact it has. So quickly to you, Rana, starting with you. So we talk about the rise of digital and other genres. At the same time, TV remains impactful. Is there any indication that digital advertising is or will be eating into the TV business anytime?
So good afternoon, everyone. Interesting that you start the whole session by asking if digital is going to eat into television. I think there is a bit of a catch-22. I think digital, if you ask me, will it be a exponentially growing medium? Undoubtedly, yes. There is no doubt about the fact that the way globally and the way India has adopted to this whole concept of digital and the way we are all leading our lives, digital will be a very, very fast and growing medium and will continue to grow so. But if the question is that if digital is going to eat into television, and especially in India, I think that time is still many, many years away. Digital will keep growing. Digital will probably grow post-COVID. We've seen on the behest of many other mediums. For example, the print might still find it challenging to grow exponentially because the way consumption is happening. Radio may still find it very difficult to grow or sustain the way, again, consumption is happening in the world of media, which is why digital is benefiting. But television will continue to be the lead and strongly become the way it works, especially in a country like India, very strongly a storytelling, very strongly a visual medium, it's a very, very big entertainment destination for us versus just viewing habits, which is what we see in many parts of the world. So I think if you look at it as a country, I think both mediums will grow. Television will continue to dominate in various spheres of life and various segments. And as we keep growing, and I'm sure a lot of questions and debates will happen, where will the growth come from? Will it be the classification towns or will it be tier 1, tier 2 towns? Where will digital dominate? Will it be with people like us? Or will it be with people from the tier 1, tier 2 towns? So I think this is how it's going to keep moving forward.
Of course, the Indian story, of course, has the TV as its own main protagonist. Kailash, your initial thoughts on digital versus TV debate?
Ruhail, like Rana sir said, and you mentioned TV versus digital. I would call it TV and digital. It's never versus. Like I had coined this a few years ago pre-COVID, also at an event where the discussion was about that what is the future of television. We are discussing the future of a $10 billion industry. And to think about writing it off or writing its obituary, it's way too early. You know, I know certain people who tried to write the obituary of print 20 years ago when electronic media came. On a blackboard it was written, and someone told me very candidly that print will die. COVID was an aberration of 2 years, Rohel. Let's take that aside. But print is also growing. Although, yes, at single digit, but print is also growing. You know, the Indian media and entertainment landscape has evolved over the last 3-4 decades. But the beauty of the Indian context is that each and every subsect of the M&E sector, be it radio, be it live events, be it out-of-home media, which were decimated during COVID, or theaters, which were decimated during COVID, all are still surviving. And they're surviving with a marginal growth. And we are talking about television which reaches up to 210 million households, 840 million individuals. Just imagine the kind of influence that television has. I mean, even after COVID, the hours of consumption, video consumption on television is the biggest, close to 4 hours. And India is a very unique market where even if you see a small or a marginal decline in pay TV homes, but there is a rise in free TV homes. They are currently estimated at 42 million and they will grow to 50 million. Now, where on earth would you find this phenomenon? That is the power of television when it comes to India, you know. And that is a family viewing consumption also. India is still a one TV household market. And where there are multiple TVs, the trend is seen, whether it's in tier 1, tier 2 or metro towns, that one of the connection is a pay TV, cable TV or satellite DTH, and the rest is a free dish. So digital will grow, yes, by leaps and bounds, by double digits. But let's not undermine television.
Not at the cost of television. I want to bring in Lloyd here. Lloyd, your thoughts on this? The two gentlemen spoke before you. Are you?
Thanks, Rohel. I broadly agree with both what Rana and Kailashji said. And I think clearly television is going to be the base of India's media consumption. Right? We're talking of anywhere between 840 and 950 million individuals being reached by television to about 210 to 240 million homes. So I think clearly there is no denying the fact that television is for some time to come going to be the base, right? And in that way I completely agree with both my fellow panelists. Having said which, I think we need to watch for two significant trends. I think in India we've seen two upsurges of digital, right? Most of us have grown up in a landscape where ADEX, so advertising expenditure in India, was roughly about 35 to 40% television, another 30 to 35% print, and then came digital, cinema, out-of-home, radio, and all the rest of it. I think we've seen a drastic shift in that in the last, I would say, 6 years. And the 2 points of inflection, I think first was the Jio launch in 2016, when suddenly data prices dropped and smartphone proliferation increased. Today, we are talking of India reaching something like 650 smartphone users, right? All of whom have the capability of consuming some form of video, shall we say, whether it's a YouTube or any other short format video that we're talking about. The next, of course, big jump came in March 2020 with the lockdown and thanks to the pandemic. I think a lot of people moved a fair amount of their consumption habits online. That saw another big jump for e-commerce when typically stores were shut and a lot of us were kind of almost forced to use e-commerce. And the big boom in terms of the payments, right? Suddenly payment through a mobile wallet became real. So I think these two trends have happened. What I understand was a report that Group M released a few days ago that today in terms of ADEX, digital is almost on par with television, with print falling way behind. So we're talking roughly like about a 40-40 mix between digital. So I think that's the reality. Having said which, I still think mass audiences, family audiences, talking down the socioeconomic strata, I think television is really the real deal. But when you come to cities, when you come to upper socioeconomics, when you're talking of metros, I think there has been a significant impact of digital in terms of people's eyeballs, a fair amount is. And while mediums like or what we call cord cutters, people who disregarded their DTH, I think that's still very limited. That's 500,000 homes. I think there's a sizable amount of Indians, especially young Indians, who are digital first. Now, whether the digital natives generation or people who are older in their 40s. So a lot of people today, I think digital as a form of entertainment. And where they consume it is typically on the move, on their phone. Not everyone is sitting in front of a television. So I think that dynamic is a reality. And I think for all professionals, media buying and creative. I think recognizing that and moving with the times is an imperative.
Right. I think one critical point emerging out of what Lloyd said is that the space has become more complex overall. You know, the business space, with the entry of digital and the uptick of digital. Rana, what are the real challenges to monetize TV content in this kind of an environment? I want to get the agency perspective.
I think, if you're used to something for free throughout your life, and then you suddenly put a cost or tariff to it, it's impossible to suddenly start saying that I'm going to start monetizing content and I'm going to monetizing content on TV. You know what I'm saying? Television is primary facie free to air, most of it, or it's through set-top boxes or through most of the ones we know. You know, if you like a particular one, whether it's Airtel or you like Tata Sky, you know, you pay a certain cost for a certain set of channels, and you've got used to that. If you ask me to suddenly say that I'm going to pay for a certain show or a certain program, that's going to be quite impossible. At least if I see it in my current avatar or the next few years, I'll be, it'll be quite amazing for me to see it. But I think it will continue to remain a challenge, because what has happened is that, if you start looking at the kind of monies that is being put into content, and if you look at the way the VOD or the OTT platforms have tried to even monetize in parallel, they found it very difficult. It is very difficult. The point is that if you would like to monetize, yes, of course, it makes sense. Does it make sense for the broadcasters? Of course it makes sense. That how do I make money out of the amount of money I'm putting into production? But does a common person outside this room even bother about the show production cost or what is being put in for the kind of show that you're putting? Is there a way we want to go that way? Do you want to go that way? Is a question that I think the group needs to, all of us need to address. That will this work? Because people who are coming out of the SEC towns like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, I don't think they're going to pay for, if you're going to tell them that you have to pay for a certain program. Because like I said, we are used to a way of working, and to suddenly shift that paradigm will be extremely difficult. And we can see it coming from other channels. You can see it coming from the world of radio. You can see it coming from the world of television and also in the world of OTT. You can see it coming from any other channel which has tried to put a price premiumization, has seriously failed. So my point of view would be that it's going to be extremely difficult. You would like to try it, let's try it with IPL.
I think that's also a mindset, which is a difficult thing to shift, because we've seen some international brands suffering because of that, of course. Kailash, what are the bigger complexities of monetization when it comes to the current context of TV?
Ruhel, as Rana sir also mentioned, that see, India is a market where the pay TV is the cheapest. It's the affordable medium. That is also why television will survive. See, India is a very price-conscious market, whether it comes to entertainment, food, or any such spending, discretionary spending by the audiences. Now, in terms of spending, you get pay TV at what, $3, $4 a month, as compared to West, which is $40, $50 a month. Even in Africa, it's $15, $20 a month. Just see the startling difference. And the founder of Netflix, Reed Hastings, he just mentioned that why is India a frustrating market for him? That is because where you have pay TV at $3, $4 a month, how would you see one streaming service charging $4 a month? That will not go down well, with the psyche of the Indian audiences, because that is what they are tuned to. At 160 rupees a month, you get a gamut of free-to-air channels, which now give original content. So monetization of content through advertising revenue, yes, that's the primary medium. That is why you make content. But secondly, what has empowered monetization of content is your YouTube also. All the broadcasters who have their original IPR content have now their YouTube channels, have now their YouTube offerings, which allow them to monetize it in a different manner also. Syndication has been there since the past 2-3 decades. You can syndicate in various languages throughout the world. But now, along with television, through the advertising revenue or through the pay revenue for the pay TV, you also have YouTube. So just by looking at one piece of content, how much it is deriving, that is difficult to ascertain in unit economics. But as a whole, as an ecosystem, yes, you can monetize the content, but you need help of other subsects also.
Right. Lloyd, you heard us. So the subscription model seems to be a bit of a challenge. We'll continue to suffer the way we are in this business. Your quick thoughts.
Yeah, I agree entirely with what Kailash said. I think Indian audiences have traditionally worked on an ad subsidy model, right? Similarly to the fact that, let's say, we pay $3 or $4, about 250 to 300 rupees for our DTH connections. Elsewhere in the world, it's a factor of 10. It's much the same for print, right? Our average newspaper is between 3 to 5 rupees. Sri Lanka, for example, a newspaper costs 100 rupees, right? Elsewhere in the world, it's significantly higher. Because I think most of our media has typically about 70 to 80% been subsidized by advertising. The advertising subscription revenue has been 80-20 in favor of advertising. And that's reality. I would say, though, that digital, in a sense, is breaking a little bit of that paradigm. And I work a lot with startups, and for a lot of them, actually, digital enables them to slice and dice their audiences and come in at a very low entry level. Today, one can be a Facebook advertiser at 1,000 rupees, right? You can specify the kind of audience you want. One can be, similarly do some Google SEO at sub 5,000 rupees, right? And these are very small advertisers. I understand these won't give you a wide audience, but digital helps you slice and dice an audience in a manner that television finds it difficult to do. And I want to look at a way forward in terms of how this discussion can go and what can the TV audience do or the TV media owners do. I think one is very important to provide advertisers some degree of slicing and dicing capability, right? Which is how does one split one street by city, by geography, and ensure that you can serve more relevant advertising. Because the moment you take a cut of advertisers who can advertise to a national audience, then you're talking about a limited pool of around 2,500 to 3,000 large advertisers, right? Who can afford to put down a few crores and reach a national audience. But when you talk of a single city, a specific segment, I think that's when people want to go to slice and dice audiences. I think that, to my mind, is the primary challenge for mass media like television, is how do you reach out to a smaller advertiser who wants to reach a sub-segment or a smaller segment of audiences. And that's when the whole economics start getting more viable.
Very valid point there. How do we tailor make those brand positionings on a massive scale? Mr. Mehta, before the session, he spoke about sports being one of the genres, which would be, of course, we've seen that, over the past few years as well. But what are you seeing in the market right now when it comes to the genre where advertisers are really being pulled in?
So from a group perspective, if you look at the way, and naturally this will apply because if you're sitting in most of the conversations or associations and conversations that we have at the 3 years of IR Ad Club, everywhere, it seems to be sports being the unifying aspect in all forms, which draws most of the advertisers and clients. And sports just not in form of a single game. It's like, of course, we know it's cricket, but you have many new things which has emerged. Even football, and if you look at the entire FIFA, the entire way the country is engaged, it's amazing. So I think sports is probably a single most unifier in terms of entertainment, in terms of genre, in terms of the way and it actually cuts across both metros and your emerging markets and emerging towns, right? And I'm talking about the whole gamut of sports. It can be badminton, it can be hockey, it can be, any Olympics, it can be T20 World Cup. So I think that's good for the nation because it's just not one particular game. I think the second one, which naturally will continue to drive, is what at one time we used to call as appointment viewing, which is those big ticket items. Whether it's a KBC or whether it's any big regional, Saregamapa, or whether it is Big Boss. Those big ticket items, or what we used to call it at one time, like the appointment viewing shows, the amount of investment or shows that goes in, we see that clients continue to ensure that if they have the investment pool, because remember, television cannot just be I will come in, spend a little bit of time and go. Television is where you have to invest, and that is something we keep struggling with clients to explain, that you cannot have a flighty media plan. It's not a pulse media plan. It has to be a constant media plan. You need to sustain. You need to spend time because you're talking to consumers who have evolved. Consumers need to be engaged. So it's like a conversation where I'm going to invest time in a medium, I'm going to build in that medium, and I'm going to spend time, which is why people look at sports, people look at these appointment viewings, because you know that you're going to have captive balls. And if I invest, I may have a conversation going with the consumer.
So sports, not just cricket, and then you said the second one was big ticket. Yeah. Kailash, your thoughts on it? I mean, you have a music genre. You have been part of news. And a GEC. So,
You know, I believe whatever grabs the eyeball of the audience. I mean, at the end of the day, the entire success of media, whether you're in any media, radio, television, digital, or even print, if you know the pulse of your audience, what he or she wants, that will drive the entire viewership and the advertising behind it. I mean, yes, I agree with the fact that sports as a genre, people get hooked onto television to watch sports or any big ticket IP shows like Kaun Banega Crorepati or others. But then you have your original shows, you have general entertainment channels, you have movies, you have music. Let's say for music, it's a genre that we are in. In the past 1 year, if you just look at the data, 661 million people have watched music on television, entire India. Out of which 494 million have watched Hindi music. So that's a huge number. You know, it's more than the population of so many countries. So you can't discount those many viewers and those many eyeballs coming. Because at the end of the day, advertisers who are willing to come on television, they come because it has a higher brand recall value. It is one of the trusted medium. It is a measurable medium. Now, how would you find the kind of measurability that TV has in digital? So yes, some genres may go up to the top of the pyramid, but the entire pyramid will survive, which is today.
Lloyd, your quick thoughts on this. I know you watch a lot of news, but what do you make of these comments?
I think I agree. I think predominantly, obviously GEC will still continue to be the big, the big kind of prime mover in television. But given certain periods, live sports is always more gripping, and increasingly large properties, the IPLs, the various World Cups, the cricket calendar, and of course various sporting leagues are growing. I think news has its peaks and troughs, right? There are moments when big events happen, so news is reality. Yeah. But I think the big watch out for television, to my mind, is a lot of short format content that is grabbing eyeballs across the spectrum. And this I'm talking in a digital context. If you look at the various TikTok clones, so to speak, right? The Moj, the Chingaris, the Joshes, Mitro, MX Takatak. I think the whole user-generated content, so to speak, the micro-influencers, the nano-influencers, I think the amount of video content that's been put out by amateur individual makers, I think is slowly taking over to some extent. I know a lot of young people that possibly get their news feed entirely digital. A lot of their entertainment needs are happening out of their phone. And obviously, while they switch to core serials now and then, for them a lot of entertainment is the short format video. All of us have seen it in the last decade, how much of our time is actually spent on social media like WhatsApp, right? So I think there's a reality. And I think advertisers, and Rana will be the first to admit this, are constantly tracking what viewers spend time on. If people are spending more time on short format video, then how do I integrate my brand in that environment? So I think there's a mix. Television will always be critical for a brand to tell its story. When you want to do your 30-second commercial, when you want to tell a larger story, you have to. But we have to recognize that a lot of digital marketers or new age digital companies spend a lot of their time building a funnel and doing performance marketing. And a lot of that is actually money that's getting into the digital bucket, not mainstream television. So I think a good mix of both is important. While sports, news, GEC, and music will continue to be the big tickets, I think one has to look at these small emerging formats, see what impact it's going to have on viewers and therefore advertisers.
You want to respond to it?
I just think a very interesting point what he said, because I think that's something that a lot of us from the media world are tracking, because the content, like we said, because the moment Lloyd is talking about the short format, it is content which starts engaging consumers. Because I think what clients are struggling is that in this plethora of brands and communication, how do I engage? Because engagement is a parameter, which is why digital has become a medium of adoption, because digital allows you to engage with your consumers in a certain format and to put Lloyd's theory of content in a certain format, and then you can have an interactive dialogue. So I think it's a point which is emerging very strongly.
Right. So a lot of learnings for TV, the pundits, who are for TV. Tell me, are there any innovations taking place when it comes to this engagement part on TV? If we look at even advertising, the traditional advertising, have you seen anything changing which is trying to move beyond the traditional concept of engagement on television? Are TV owners, brands doing it differently from an agency perspective and then from a TV perspective? Okay, let me start with you.
See, in terms of what could be a different way where advertisers could address TV is what also Lloyd sir mentioned in the beginning, addressable TV. We have connected TV right now, which is growing. They're currently at about 22 million and it's expected to grow up to 40 million. In that, you can address the issue like if you want to go hyper-local. See, in linear television, if you want to go hyper-local, that was tried a few years ago, but that was not so very much possible in terms of technical issues as well as legal issues. There were a lot of frameworks. But now with the fact that you have 5G, you have internet accessibility, you have affordable internet, more people on smartphones, more people on smart TVs at homes, the concept of connected TV will help you innovate advertising on television also. Like you have different cohorts, you have different areas. You can understand what person is watching what rather than at a national level. So I think that will bring about certain innovations in television advertising where brands can actually know who is actually, micromanaging and watching what, and then decide upon their spends and what area or geography or demography or person that they want to target.
Okay, we have 3 minutes. I want to take on the final question, starting with you. What is the future of TV business, say, 3 years down the line? Where do we see it? How will it pan out from here on?
I think we started the entire this whole thing by saying that the future is absolutely perfect. There is nothing, if anybody is discussing or questioning the future of the medium, I'm saying that is absolutely baseless. TV will keep growing because TV will continue to be a singular medium where the country is bound by. And like Kailash was also saying, there are many other things around the ecosystem which will grow. TV plus digital is the way we will have to have this conversation. It's not about TV only or why is digital eating into TV. I think those conversations sometime will automatically cease while we will hear many sources of saying that the revenues are becoming 40%, this one is growing at so much, that's fine. But I think few things to watch out for television, like we also know, and I think that's a challenge for the broadcasting industry, is that content is going to become very critical. So like my first reaction was sports. 5-10 years back, my first reaction would have been GEC or content, and then I would have come to sports. So if you see, if I was sitting here 5 years back, I wouldn't have said sports as my first reaction. Today I said sports as my first reaction as the unifier. I did not mention, Lloyd mentioned GEC, he mentioned music. Nobody mentioned so much about shows. So you can see there is a paradigm shift that's happened. Earlier, we used to talk about appointment viewing and shows as a very big thing. I think that's going to become a very big thing because if that ceases and the OTT platform continues to dominate the way they are, irrespective of whether they can monetize them or not, but if you realize the content that's coming through OTT and other platforms are far, far superior to television. So I think that's a watch out for this industry, but it will keep growing and it will keep engaging eyeballs for the next few years. If you're talking about 3, I don't see much changes then.
Kailash.
I believe that the future is steady and it will remain steady if you know what you are investing into and primarily being content. Because people come to television or digital mediums for content. With regards to content on OTT, that's a different, ball game altogether. I mean, the kind of scale of shows that you see, the kind of content, it is more of a personal space rather than a family or a co-viewing space. Today, even in television, the kind of content that rates, the kind of content that works, is that approaches the heartland. And in terms of digital, since it's a more personalized medium, you have a different offering altogether. Whether that both the offerings have a marriage or not, that audiences have to decide as and when they mature. But the future of television is very much steady. I mean, it's not on a rocky bed.
Steady. And final words, Lloyd, final comment.
Yeah, I agree with both my co-panelists that television is not going anywhere in a hurry. I think it's still going to be, like I said, the bulwark of any media plan. Having said which, I would say it's important for some form of innovation. And to kind of go back to the previous point that Kailash made, I think television would need to look at how it can service advertisers better. And I think some small examples of innovation. I think today I know advertisers that buy television only for a HDD fee, right? Because they know in a sense they're getting one segment of users. I know last year at the IPL, Star did language feeds, right? So you, in Tamil Nadu, you had the option of choosing a Tamil commentary with the same IPL feed. I think these are ways when you're actually able to attract advertisers from regions, from smaller states, and that makes the whole format far more friendly. So to the point, important to invest in content, important to look at how does television also innovate and reach smaller niches of advertisers, and obviously over time work at higher subscriptions to keep the genre relevant.
Great. So one common thing that in the Indian context, TV is going to stay steady, stay relevant, in fact, grow more. So thank you for sharing all your thoughts here, Mr. Rana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruhail. And thank you to Lloyd sir and Rana.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
सही बात है, टीवी कहीं नहीं जा रहा है, ये 2022 है, 2042 में भी हम लोग को करना है टीवी समिट, आप लोग को आना है. So we have to ensure that TV is not going anywhere. Can we please invite Siddharth Laik, founder and editor-in-chief, IWM Buzz Media Network, to give the token of appreciation. Loud claps please, तब जाके smile भी और better होगा.